All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Zapier 101, how to get started with Zapier. I know you probably have a lot of things you could be doing with your time, so we really appreciate you spending it with us here. And also love to see everyone joining us from all over the world. It's awesome. So my name's Katie, and I will be moderating today's event. And before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. So first of all, this webinar will be recorded, and you'll get an email with the recording afterwards. And all attendees are muted. But if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you put them in the chat box where everyone's been putting their where they're from, it will probably get lost just due to the sheer number of people on the call. So be sure to type it in the Q&A box. And we have Lori on the line from our support team, and she's going to try her best to get to those during the webinar. And if not, we will have time at the end of the webinar for Steve to answer some of those questions live. There will also be a survey at the end of the webinar, and we'd love it if you can fill it out and give us any feedback and ideas on how we can improve future events. And any ideas for future events. All right, so let's get started. I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Steve Vakiswaran. Steve works on our business operations team that supports our leadership teams, and he tackles a variety of different projects across the organization. And we're lucky to have him here to show us how to get started with Zapier. All right, remember you can ask all the questions you want in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, Q&A, not chat box, and we'll either answer them at the end of the webinar or we'll try our best to have Lori answer those in real time. All right, and with that, I'm gonna let Steve take it away. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Katie, and welcome everyone to Zapier 101. I'm Steve. I'm the Business Operations Manager here at Zapier, and I'm here to teach you how to use Zapier so you can automate anything. To get things started, let's run through a quick agenda. We're going to talk about what Zapier is, give you some ideas on how you can use Zapier to create automated workflows. We call them Zaps, and that will save you some time. Then we'll go into a live demo where I'll show you, one, how to find Zaps that will work for you, go through how to create a Zap, and then we'll finish up with some Q&A. So what is Zapier? Let's start at the very beginning. Zapier is a tool that allows you to connect your favorite web apps to each other and move information between them automatically. This allows you to forget the busy work and focus on what really matters. You can connect apps like MailChimp, Gmail, Slack, or Salesforce. And since we work with over 2,000 plus apps, there's a good chance that you'll find some of the apps that you work on every day. Here's a little bit more about us. Some quick stats on us as a company. We're currently number 33 on the Forbes Cloud 100 apps. This is a list that Forbes put together showing what they think are the best private cloud companies in the world. And we made number 33, which I think is pretty cool. Something that also makes us unique is that we are a fully remote company. We've never had a central office. This means we get to work with some of the smartest people from all over the world. We typically get together a couple times a year for all hands and company retreats. We have about 315 plus team members today, and over 1.8 million businesses and individuals use Zapier, which has resulted in 10 hours saved on average per person per week. Isn't that incredible? And for those of you that were wondering, Zapier rhymes with happier, and that's how you pronounce it. So Zapier allows you to connect the software you use every day and automatically send information between them without having to know one line of code. Our simple to use editor was built for anyone to use. You can quickly, one, connect your favorite apps together, two, set up your workflows, and three, do all of that without the need for a developer or an IT team. And here's a quick snapshot of the 2,000 plus apps that you can connect with Zapier. As you can see, the possibilities are endless, and there are billions of combinations that are possible. You'll want to start by picking the apps you'd like to connect and then deciding what work you want to happen automatically. So the best part here is to think about some mundane processes or repetitive workflows that you see on a day-to-day basis. You start with an app and an event. So in this case, on this screen, we have MailChimp over here, some of our favorite marketing automation tools. And when you get a new response from MailChimp, we can call this a trigger. Now we need something to happen when this event occurs. So when you get a new lead in MailChimp, we need a corresponding action. And that action could be adding that MailChimp form submission as a lead into your CRM. In this case, we'll log that in Salesforce. And a Zap is the combination of exactly that. A trigger plus an action is equal to a Zap. And I'll show you how to set up some of these in just a few minutes. Let's look at some examples to get you thinking about how Zapier could help you in your work. This Zap helps you consolidate information into a Google Sheets spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are a great way to store all kinds of information. In fact, Google Sheets is one of the most used apps on Zapier, but it's time consuming to add information to a sheet, and there's always chance for human error. In this example, Zapier is taking information from a Typeform Contact Us form on the left and sending it to Google Sheet as a lead on the right. This Zap gets your leads into a spreadsheet and you can see them in one place and share those with your team. And remember, this is just one way you can use Zapier with these apps. There are many more options that are possible. Here's another example. You might be using Facebook today to capture some of your leads. This Zap helps you quickly follow up to people who reach out for information via email. All it takes is a few clicks in advance, and Zapier can make this step happen automatically and provide a personal touch that can go a long way with some prospects. You can set up a similar workflow no matter where your leads came from. If you get leads through forms like Typeform, through a newsletter provider like MailChimp, and a CRM like HubSpot, you can set up a Zap that automatically sends an email for you to your lead. This is an example of a multi-step flow you can create in one Zap. From a trigger event on the left here, someone fills out your Facebook lead form. You can have Zapier move the information into two other apps so you can automatically, one, send them an email and alert your team, two, in Slack so it's easy to follow up. You can make one Zap do several jobs for you. The possibilities are really endless. There are Zaps that can save your organization time across the board, so be on the lookout for opportunities that can help folks in other departments as well. Oops, there we go. And if you're not yet using Zapier or you don't already have an account, here are a few ways that you can use Zapier to make your life easier. Number one, engaging leads. Using Zapier, you can engage your leads instantly by delivering a personal message the moment someone reaches out. This allows you to act quickly on opportunities. Number two, importing your customers. You can automatically import your new customers from your e-commerce website into your CRM, or maybe even your email marketing platform. Number three, notifying your team. You can notify your team about new opportunities. Maybe send out a Slack message or email when you get a new sign up to your blog or make a new sale. And fourth, saving time. This one is one of my favorites. My friend used to be in charge of the blog at his workplace and saved hours each week by sharing the blog on staggered posts to all social media sites using Zapier. And a quick recap here in terms of our terminology. I wanted to take a few minutes to explain some basic Zapier terms for you for extra context. When we refer to an app on the left, we are talking about an application that you want to connect with Zapier. Two, a trigger is the event that kickstarts your Zap. What do you want the signal to be for your workflow? And three, a Zap is what we call the automation between apps. It always has a trigger to get started and it can have multiple actions. All right, so with that context, ready to go in our tool belts, I think it's time for us to jump into Zapier so I can show you how easy it is to create a Zap. Great. So here we have zapier.com/apps. This is our app directory. Earlier, you heard me say that we have 2,000 plus applications on our platform. This is where you can find every single one of those applications. And to make things easier for you, they're actually listed by departments. So let's go in and take a look at some marketing related Zaps. When you go into marketing, you can actually see that things are broken down by specific domain, by specific expertise. So email newsletters, MailChimp, as we discussed earlier, you can see apps here. You can also see GetResponse, which is familiar here on the marketing side of things. This doesn't stop at marketing. You can also check out sales related Zaps. Typeform, which we discussed earlier, you can find over here. Salesforce and your CRMs, you can find them also here. A couple other examples that I want to get into, commerce. Maybe you're an e-commerce company and you're running your shop. You can find certain Zaps that we connect with here. So things like Shopify or Stripe or some of your back-end processes like QuickBooks and things of that nature. The best thing to do if you're looking to answer if Zapier connects with one of your favorite apps is to go to zapier.com/apps and go into the search bar and search for some of your favorite apps. So Typeform is one that we discussed, and you can find it here. Now, before I show you more information on how you can build a Zap, I also want to show you our Explore page. This is where you can go if you're looking for certain inspiration on what's possible within Zapier. As you can see, things are broken down by role here. So if you're a CRM administrator, an email marketer, a marketing person in general, or just want to see our most popular Zaps, you'll be able to see all of them over here. My favorite part is as soon as you get to the bottom, you can actually put in parts of your tech stack today. So let's say we're using apps like Airtable and Google Sheets and Gmail and Slack. You can actually input and select all of these apps to get some inspiration of what are some popular applications or Zaps that are on our platform and what other folks are using ranked by popularity. So you can find all that information here. But enough of this, let's actually get in and start building a Zap together. So I'm going to head back into zapier.com/apps. And I am going to start by building a Zap that lets me follow up with some of my leads. So the exact same example that you saw earlier. Going to look for Typeform. And when you get to Typeform, you'll actually see this app profile page, which will give you a lot of information about the application. On the overview page, you'll see a little bit about the application, what it's commonly used for, and learn more about what some common use cases are. On the integrations page, you'll be able to see all the possible integrations that Typeform can integrate with. And this depends on each app, but you'll be able to see every single possible combination here. As you can see, there are 84 pages of 9 apps on each page. So there are literally hundreds of different applications that you can integrate them with here. At the bottom, you can see some of the most commonly used Zaps. The first one, collect new Typeform responses as rows on Google Sheets, is the one that you saw in our demo earlier. Again, if you're looking for inspiration, you can always find that down here. And last but not least, you can find specific triggers related to the Typeform application here. Now for our use case today, I've actually gone ahead and created a Typeform here. So let's all pretend that we are a marketing agency. I've gone in and I've selected a specific Typeform that allows me to capture leads for my marketing agency. So let's actually go in and complete some of those forms together. So I need a website built, and I need that to be a landing page, and I want to get in contact. So my name is Steve, my last name is Vakis Warren. This is super urgent and I want to be live ASAP. My budget, you know what, the sky's the limit. No ideas right now, so that's fine. And my email address is right there. So great. I've submitted this app, and if I'm the admin owner on Typeform, I'll be able to see a lot of the results coming in right over here. Now, what I want to do is I want to follow up with my leads as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and build an application or a Zap that allows us to follow up with our leads as soon as possible. So on the Typeform page, I want to connect this with Gmail. And remember, this is possible with Outlook, with whatever email platform that you're using. We use Gmail, so I'd like to use Gmail. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to build a Zap together. I've actually gone ahead and built some of these Zaps here, so I'm actually going to walk you through this together. So when you get into this page, the first thing that we need is we need a trigger. So our trigger here is when we have a new entry in Typeform. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the app, which is Typeform, and I want it to be a new entry. So next I hit continue. Next I've got to go in and authenticate my account. This is going to look like your Typeform account, and you need to make sure that you're well set up on Typeform. I'm already authenticated with contact@zapier.com, so all is well there. Next, you'll be asked to pick which one of your forms you'd like to integrate with. In my case, I've built a test form here, which is the one that you saw. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And next, we are going to go find the data. Great. So as soon as you do that, you will see this page, which will test that trigger and find that data. So this is what we just submitted. We said, our name was Steve. We were looking for a landing page project. It was extremely urgent. And this was what we kind of filled out together right there. So this means that your form submission has been picked up by Zapier. So we're going to hit continue. Next, what we'd like to do is we'd like to add a delay. Maybe let's wait 5 minutes to give people some time before we go ahead and email them. So I'm going to choose another app here. This app is Delay by Zapier. And I'm going to choose the action event, which is I want to delay for. And when we get into this next stage, we're going to delay for 5 minutes. We don't want to look too keen when we're following up. So we want to give them a little bit of time to breathe. And next, let's send some data. So let's retest here and continue. Great. So it sent a trigger, and it's telling us that this green check mark means that this step is working, and that's a success check mark. So Typeform is integrated. We're pulling our lead information. We're going to wait for 5 minutes. And now we are going to send an email. So third, we're going to go in and choose Gmail as our application. We're going to choose the action event, which is to send an email. You can also notice here that there are other action events that you can choose. You can create a draft, so you don't have to send it. You can create a label. You can find a specific email. You can respond to a specific message. But in our case, we want to follow up. So let's send an email. We're going to go ahead and choose our account, which I've authenticated here. And now is the best part. We get to customize what we tell our leads when we reach out. So the first thing here is in the to bar, we want to make sure that we send the email out to our leads. And we can pick up that information because it was submitted in Typeform. If you remember, we actually submitted that information when we were filling this part out. So let's go back here. When we look into this space, insert data, we can go to show all options and we can scroll down here, and great. This is the question that we just filled out. And finally, what's your email address? So we're going to click this. Now for all of your, responses, you'll be able to see all of the email addresses here. And we are going to add a from name. So it's going to be from Zapier. We'll actually change it to Steve's Trusty Agency. And in the subject line, let's add a little bit of personalization because we know that that converts better. So our subject line is going to say, hey, first name. Again, this can be whatever you'd like. So if you want it to be their last name, then we can just go in here and look for their last name. We can, customize by the name of the company. But in my case, I want to use their first name and say, hey, first name from Zapier. And this is the body of our text. So in the body of the text, I want to say, thanks for reaching out to our form, first name. I'd love to talk to you about your landing page project, and this can be a web app project or whatever the options were on Typeform. When is a good time for me to give you a call today? You can also call me at this number. Now, if we don't want to use this as an example, we can always go in and change this to say, I'd love to talk to you about your company in brackets. Let's actually go in and add their company name. Your company, Zapier in brackets. When is a good time for me to give you a call today? And now you can also customize your signature, your mailbox, your attachments. Let's hit continue. Great. So test email was actually sent to our Gmail 26 minutes ago. And I have that pulled up here, which is this form. Hey, Steve from Zapier. Thanks for reaching out on our forum. I'd love to talk to you about our landing page project. When is a good time for you to give me a call? You can also call me. So this Zap works. If we retest this, it'll send it with our new copy and our body. And now we're ready to turn this thing on. So let's turn it on. When the screen switches on, that means there are no errors. And we're going to go ahead and name our Zap, which is leads follow up via Typeform. And great, now you're live. If you go back to your main page, you'll be able to see all of your Zaps here, and the one that we just built together will be listed right. Let me find this one. It will be listed somewhere in here. We will find that. But it will be in this page. It's probably in one of our folders. In the interest of time, let's actually go ahead and show you a couple more Zaps. So we're all working remotely now. Zoom is a massive part of our day-to-day. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'm late to some of my meetings, and I'd love to not be late. So I primarily use Gmail and I primarily use Slack. So I'd love to be able to get a notification a couple minutes before a meeting to let me know that here's a link, don't be late, join this meeting. So in this case, we're going to pull the Zoom link from our Google Calendar. That's the calendar that we use. You can also use Microsoft Office or whatever your calendar choice is of preparation. Google Calendar, we're going to look for a new event and we're going to search for a Zoom link. So we're going to search specifically for Zoom URL. We're going to go ahead, choose our account. And again, I've gone in and authenticated. You can pick your own account here and go ahead and authenticate. And we are going to customize the event. So you may have a lot of different calendars. I've got a lot of different calendars. I want to pick this calendar and I want to search for the term Zoom. And if this works properly, we should find some data. Awesome. So I've got a meeting on my calendar here with John. This is just a dummy meeting, and it looks like I've got a Zoom link here. So what I want to do is I want to pull this information right here, and I want to pass this in an email or a Slack message that allows me to reach out to John as soon as possible. So I'm going to hit continue here. Next, we are going to send an email in Gmail. So in Gmail, we're going to send an email. We're going to choose our account, and we are going to customize the email. So this is going to be the creator's email. If you're using this within your organization, it can be for whomever has created that event. In this case, everyone on that calendar invite is going to be me. I'm going to go ahead and choose that calendar email over here. And I'm going to write a subject line. You have a meeting in 15 minutes. This is the summary of that meeting. I'm going to go ahead and say, here's the summary of the meeting. Here's a description of the meeting. It starts at this time. You can join. And here's this link to the Zoom email. We can actually go ahead and customize this if we'd like to add other things. So we can say, this email or this meeting starts at 3:45. Let's see, what else can we add here? We can say that it is, the status. Your meeting is, and let's add the status, confirmed, to let us know that everyone will be attending. Great, so now we're gonna hit continue. If we do this correctly, great, a test email was sent, we're gonna hit retest. But you will get an email that looks like this, that says, You have a meeting in 15 minutes. This was the name of our meeting. This was who our meeting is with. This is what time that meeting is at. This is the Zoom link. You can click here and join. So I'll never be late again if I'm on my email. I also do want to send myself a direct message in Slack, just in case, because you can never be sure. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Slack. Again, if you're using Microsoft Teams, just remember you can always go in and choose something else. We integrate with those 2,000 applications, and I'm going to send myself a direct message. I'm going to go to choose an account, and I'm going to, again, authenticate myself here. And I'm going to customize the message. So first, who do we want to send this to? We want to send this to Steve. That's awesome. What do we want to say? You have a meeting, join here. Here's the link to the Zoom call. Awesome. We're going to send it as a bot. We're going to name it ZoomBot, just so it looks cool. We're going to add a cool little icon in there that gives us a nice little image. And we want to send this. And looks like we've sent something to our Slack. I'm going to hit retest and see if this goes through. Great. So a message was actually sent to our Slack. Let's see if we can pick this one up. Awesome. So we've got something right here. You have a meeting in 15 minutes. Join here. I can click on this link and it will take me directly to that meeting. So I'll never be late again. And there you have it. We can turn this one on as well. And we're going to go ahead and name our Zap right at the top over here. Steve's trusty reminder to not be late. Smiley. And there you have it. There's our Zap that we had just built right over there. So you can see that it's right over here. A couple other parts of our platform. You can start to create all these Zaps yourself by clicking on this editor link, which says make a Zap. This is this trusty editor where you'll be presented with the options to pick triggers and actions. You can also go in and see all the apps that you've connected on your account over here on the app bar. You can see, are my Zaps sending on time? This task history bar lets us know if there are any issues, if there's any, Zaps that are held up. It looks like all of my Zaps today are sending really well, which is awesome. No issues there. And last but not least, you can go to the Explore tab, which we showed you earlier, to find some more inspiration. And if at any point you're stuck and need a hand, no worries. Go to the Get Help section and you'll be able to see a lot of our guides here. And at the very bottom, you'll also be able to contact support. And that's it for today. So I'm going to pass this back to Katie on what's next.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. That was great. My video. All right, we've got a lot of questions. We probably won't have time to get to all of them, but you can keep putting them in the Q&A box, and Lori is going to be working through this Q&A session to answer as many as possible. Okay, so let me just kind of go through some of these. First of all, you will be getting a copy of the recording afterwards, and once you exit this webinar, you'll get a link to our survey to help us for future webinars on what we should include. But let's see here. All right, this might be for Steve or Lori, but how quick does the Zap work and move information?
I can take a stab at that. On some of our plans, it's as quick as 2 minutes. On others, it's as quick as 15 minutes. If you go to zapier.com/pricing, you'll be able to see some of the plans and pick which one matches your needs.
Great.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in on that because that's only on a polling trigger. And so now we get into a bigger question of polling triggers versus instant triggers. And we have both at Zapier. So an instant trigger is pretty much as advertised. It happens instantly. So Zaps that might have an instant trigger would be something like a form submission. The form is submitted, it gets sent over to us, the Zap triggers right away. A polling trigger, and where you might see a longer timeline here, is we basically reach out to the app, we knock on the door, we're like, hey, do you have anything new? If there's something new, the Zap triggers. Now, how frequently we reach out is completely dependent on the plan that you're on. So free and starter, this is every 15 minutes. Professional, teams, and companies, this is, professional is 2 minutes. Teams and companies is 1 minute. They may have changed that. It might be 1 for all 3, but pricing would be your best bet for the actual numbers right now. So that will affect when it triggers. As far as how long the Zap takes to run is now going to depend on what we're connecting to, the app we're connecting to, how many steps there are in your Zap, whether you've added any delay steps into the Zap. All of those things are going to say, so it could be instantaneous. I could send something right now with a webhook. It'll arrive where I've sent it seconds later. Or I could set something that has a delay for several hours or even several days. And then of course the Zap is going to take those several days to run. So really the short answer is anywhere from immediately to as long as you want it to take.
Great. All right. Okay, here's another one. How many apps can I connect in one workflow?
As many steps as there are in your Zap.
Okay. Great. Okay, someone saw a premium icon on one of the apps. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. Our premium apps are a set number of apps. There's a list on our apps page. I believe it's apps/categories/premium. That lists these apps. These are slightly more advanced apps that require a little bit more support from both our support team and our development team. So these particular apps are only available on our paid plans and are not available in our free plan.
Great. Okay, and that's the next question actually. And I don't know which one of you want to answer this, but what are the differences between the free and paid plans with Zapier?
So there's a few things. So one is the premium apps, which are only available in our paid plans. The other one is multi-step Zaps, which is also only available in the paid plans. So a Zap, by definition, has one trigger and at least one action step. So one trigger, one action. You can have 5 of those on the free plan. As soon as you want to start adding additional action steps to your Zap, this then becomes multi-step, and you will need a paid plan for that. Again, our pricing page is going to give you a lot more detail about what our features are. Those are the 2 biggies. And then also on professional and higher, we offer auto replay. So if your task runs into an error, we'll just keep retrying it, and hopefully it'll go through in one of the retries.
Great. Okay. So someone asked, how do you switch over access to Zapier? Do you usually have someone in your full-time employees manage Zapier, or does your IT department typically manage it? That makes sense. I guess who on the team usually manages Zapier? Is it one person or is it a team that does it?
I can grab this too. So it depends, again, whether you have a personal account or a Teams or company's account. If it is going to be for the company, my advice is to use sort of a generic like hello at or contact at rather than one specific person, because if they leave and they take their password, you kind of lost access to it. So there is a way that you can change the password on the account, but again, you'd need to be able to access the account with the other person's email address and password. So again, you just want to protect yourself, put it into an email that everyone can access, or at least somebody who owns the account or owns the company or has constant access, has access to your account, and that way you're not losing access to it down the road. Where your teams and companies are going to be handy is if you have a lot of people at the company who need different workflows and have different needs. That way you have one central billing for your team or for your company. And that way you have a lot more opportunity for not losing access. But I'm really cautious about sharing passwords amongst teammates for one account, because you're going to get people with slightly nefarious intentions sometimes. I've seen some really bad things. So I would recommend, being secure, keeping your passwords secure and not sharing them with a lot of people just to protect your account, because anything that you've connected anyone who has access to your account now has access to all of those apps that you've connected. So I would recommend, for security's sake, keep your passwords secure.
Great. So a lot of the questions we've gotten are very specific to specific apps, and we're not going to be able to get to every single specific app integration here. But if you do have questions that we don't get to or didn't get to, you can feel free to email support@zapier.com, or you can go to zapier.com/app/get-help. We can put it in the chat box so you all can go there if you need any assistance on your specific workflows. Okay, so the next question is, what is considered a task when it comes to pricing?
Okay, a task is a successful action. So anytime a successful action happens when the Zap runs, we consider that a task. So if you have a Zap that is one trigger, one action, every time it runs, that's one task. If you have a Zap with, say, 5 action steps, every time the Zap runs, that's 5 tasks towards your usage. We don't count triggers towards your usage. So however many tasks you have within your plan limit, triggers don't count to that. It's just when there's a successful action. So if you have a filter step that doesn't continue through the filter, that doesn't count. If there's an error on the task, that doesn't, on a specific action step, that also doesn't count towards your task usage.
Okay, great. Is there a log that I can access to check the status of my workflow?
Kind of need more information about what they're looking for here. What do you mean by the status of the workflow? I wish, is this a question in the Q&A? There's a lot here.
I'm not sure where this one came from. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, go for it. I think generally speaking, you can go into the task history part. Mm-hmm. You can see a log of all of your active actions. And if there's any issues with them. So you'll be able to see that there.
Yep, took the words right out of my mouth.
Great. Okay, awesome. So another question is, do you have a pre-sales team I can work with? We are a large software vendor and have a lot of questions about go-to-market and how we can use Zapier.
We do not have a sales team. Oh, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, depending on what you're looking for, and based off the size of your company, I would recommend going to zapier.com/companies. You'll be able to request a demo there, and we'll make sure that you get routed to the right person there and answer your questions.
Great. Does Zapier work with desktop application and mobile apps?
So we can, one of the most important things an app needs to integrate with Zapier is an API. So while we would be able to integrate with something like QuickBooks Online, which is online, has an API that we can connect to, we wouldn't be able to connect to QuickBooks Desktop because that's only on your computer. So we'd have no way of accessing it to be able to send and receive information. I think that's the question that was being asked. Does that sound right?
Great, yeah. Okay, looks like we have time for one more question. And then again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email support or go to the link that we will include in the chat box. Okay, do you provide premium services or consulting to build out complex Zaps and workflows?
We do not, but we have an experts directory, zapier.com/experts. Where you can go and see other companies who have been certified in their Zapier knowledge and can certainly help you out with things like workflow planning and building Zaps if you want a more complex Zaps.
Great. All right. I think that's it. If anyone can, if someone can put the link to the support get help, that would be awesome. One of our teammates, that would be great. And thank you. Okay, looks like it's in there now. Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Lori and Steve, so much for this great webinar. And if anyone needs any help, feel free to go to that link or visit our YouTube channels. We have a lot of help videos there as well, or look out for our future demos and webinars. Thank you all so much for joining. We appreciate it.